Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with everything fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. But today I want to go ahead and talk about fat acceptance TikTok again, and an issue within that community that has bothered me a lot, especially as somebody who does experience health issues that are weight related. I get very, very frustrated with people on TikTok minimizing the seriousness of health.
Listen up if you're loving the body positivity trend, but are also a bit confused as to whether all of these beautiful shapes and sizes are truly healthy. So who is healthier? If you asked me this last year, I would have automatically said Whitney, when really we cannot tell by looking at someone. Meg and Whitney can be equally as healthy.
Health is not an aesthetic choice. Health is not a competition either. The whole idea of asking, is this person healthier than this person based on looks, is stupid. And I think that a lot of times people on the fat acceptance side of things, they take a lot of these sort of, pardon the word usage, but the sort of problematic sides of the more pro-health, anti-fat space, and they tend to take it in and use it themselves, which I would argue, I don't want the toxicity of either side. It's not helpful to compare yourself to somebody else in a health journey. That's never something that is useful of your time. It's not productive. And ultimately, nobody is going to know how healthy you are over you. Like, you yourself are aware. Am I in pain? Do I have issues? Like I did in 2021, I had hypoxia caused by obesity. If you think about breathing, how automatic it is, you don't actually think about every single breath you take. When you have this hypoxia, what happens is your heart starts to race and you get very short of breath out of nowhere because you're not consciously thinking about your breathing anyways, but your fat is blocking your natural processes' ability to breathe. So when I hear something like this, where it's, oh, who cares, it doesn't matter. It's very short-sighted. I myself was honest with myself. I didn't like where I was at. It was awful. So I did something about it. So I've continued to do things about it. And guess what? I don't have hypoxia anymore. So the entire premise of asking the question, is this person healthier than this person, is dumb. You should only ever compare yourself now to yourself in the past. Are you healthier or less healthy than you were before? And if so, why?
Just to reiterate, just because Whitney is leaner does not mean that she is healthier. Weight is not associated with health.
Okay, so this argument is something that fat acceptance uses all the time. It is definitely associated. It depends on how much you weigh, but if you are morbidly obese and above, so super morbidly obese, your health is absolutely associated with your state of obesity. It is a lie to say that it isn't. It is toxic. It is wrong. Now, as far as the actual causes of these different things, I myself would argue that a lot of the complications of morbid obesity come from hypothyroidism, which can be caused by many different factors, including eating junk food, like fast food. It is absolutely associated once you reach a certain point. When you get big enough, you have complications directly related to your size, like hypoxia, like sleep apnea, like many other things.
Today's controversial fat take time. Less defending how healthy we are, more pointing out how being healthy doesn't make us more worthy of respect or love.
This is another one of these sort of copes of the fat acceptance movement. They try to act like if you care about somebody's health, then you're discriminating against people who are unhealthy. You can care about somebody's health and also care about somebody's health who's unhealthy. You can care about two people at once. And I want you to understand the sort of logic that these people have. Everything with them is a zero-sum game. If you care about one thing, that means you can't care about something else, which is insane. I believe that this is a projection. This is how they view the world. But I'm asking you to not view the world in the same way that they do.
Fewer what I eat in a day videos with a very look how healthy I am, look how normal my portions are subtext. More you can eat whatever you want and calories are made up.
I want y'all to realize if you are morbidly obese, these people are pushing you to your death. They're pushing you to the edge and then saying, where they're supporting you all the way until you die or until you have a serious complication. And then guess what? They won't be there for you. Or they'll just say, oh, you're such a poor thing. I wonder why you have these health issues. It must just be luck of the draw. I'm so sorry for you. But if you ever start to admit that it is because of your eating habits or because of your weight, they will turn on you in an instant. These people are supportive of nothing other than your death. Calories are very, very real. If you eat 10,000 calories or you eat none, your weight will change within a day. So I don't want to hear this. This is insanity.
Less, look how much I exercise, I'm so healthy all the time even though I'm fat. More, it doesn't matter how much you exercise, you're still a fucking person.
So this is a definite straw man. I have never heard somebody say if you don't exercise, you're not a person. That is, again, one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, one of the worst copes I've ever heard for somebody's addiction. If you are addicted to eating food for emotional reasons, you have to deal with that. Binge eating disorder is an ED. Binging is an ED. Binging and restricting and then binging again is an ED. I don't think that it's right for every single morbidly obese person to immediately jump into working out. I think it's really, really important to give your body time to heal. I started this pro-thyroid protocol that I've been doing, and it took me about 8 months, 7 months before I could start exercising. And I exercised for almost a year, for 10 months, before I started counting calories. It takes time. People do not want to acknowledge that it takes time, but you have to eat healthy, build your body up to be able to do a caloric deficit. And most of these people do not. And most thin people, unfortunately, do not support that either. They say you have to start losing immediately. But I'm going to tell you guys, you need to be healthy to lose. So this is not about doing nothing, but it is about acknowledging the timeline. If somebody is morbidly obese, it will take 3 to 4 years to fix the issue. We all need to accept that reality, including us fatties ourselves. If you're morbidly obese, just accept it's going to take about 3 years, or super morbidly obese, probably 4 years to fix the issue. And that's just reality.
Less using ableism and healthism to defend against fat phobia. More radical body inclusion that includes both disabled people and fat people.
Less making excuses for people in toxic patterns. More preventing disabilities that don't need to occur. If you gain weight to the point where you cannot get out of bed anymore, you have made yourself disabled. That is not something I will ever support. Ever. You do not support somebody to make themselves disabled if they do not have to be. It's not, this isn't just because we should not hate or have any ill will towards people who are disabled doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to prevent it when it's possible. And I think the vast majority of disabled people would agree with that.
Less throwing disabled and unhealthy people under the bus, more including them and recognizing we all have unified goals.
Less using disabled people for your sick agenda. Leave people alone. So this next one I want to talk about is something really, really important. A lot of you guys may know Hannah Talks Bodies. I think that she Although I don't know her personally, she is deeply, deeply brainwashed into this ideology. And she is, I would say, one of the more convincing people. But I want to go ahead and touch upon this TikTok because it really encapsulates a lot of the issues that morbidly obese people face within weight loss, and I want to give my perspective on it as somebody who is also morbidly obese, because little Miss Hannah, you can't use your experience against me.
It never fails that anytime I talk about my eating disorder or all the things I used to do to lose weight, at least one person will pop their head out of the ground just to say, you know, you can lose weight in a healthy way. It doesn't need to be so extreme.
Would you look at that? I guess I've popped my head up out of the ground.
And I don't know how else to explain that for me and for many, many other people, that is simply untrue. Because the second I start ignoring my body's cues, it's over. The instant my body tells me it is hungry and I choose either not to feed it or to underfeed it, which is what a calorie deficit is, it knows it's time for famine. It goes into scarcity mode.
I think what Hannah's not understanding is that human beings have lived in famine for many, 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 many millennia. So for her to act like she absolutely cannot handle any kind of a calorie deficit is it's ridiculous.
It thinks I don't have access to food, and as a result, my body turns on all the alarms to try to get me to eat as much as humanly possible so that I can survive this famine.
Okay, so when it comes to this, I want to sort of back her up in this. When you are morbidly obese, you experience intense hunger. And I don't think thin people understand the hunger aspect. There are two parts to overeating. There is the addiction aspect, which is extremely valid and extremely real for the vast majority of people. That is typically how people become morbidly obese. But there's also the other side of it, which typically has to do with nutrient depletion or hormonal factors. What a lot of people don't understand is that it's not that you're not eating, it's that the hormonal factors make you more hungry. So I need you guys to understand that. It's not that I'm not eating, or it's not that she's not eating, it's that we are hungrier because of hormone factors. It's typically, in the vast majority of cases, your thyroid. And it's not necessarily that the thyroid is not producing hormone, it's that the body is not utilizing it properly, which there are many reasons for that, fatty liver being one of them. I'm not going to get too sciencey, but how many morbidly obese people do you know that have fatty liver disease? Many. So if your liver's not there, working correctly, if it's not strong, it's not converting your thyroid hormone properly, so you can experience hypothyroidism even without producing less. Although in many cases, people have multiple factors. They're producing less, the liver's fatty, etc., etc. So we will get into this in more detail on my channel soon, but the point is, the hunger associated with this is real. It's very, very real. So what she's saying here is true. Now,
I want you to imagine what it's actually like to go through your day with your body screaming at you that it's starving, and you just have to pretend that that's not happening. It's consuming all of your thought space and all of your energy, but you just have to pretend it's not real.
for me, I worked on my hormone health from really March of 2021 all the way to September. By September of 2021, I started having some benefits and things started shifting and my appetite went down. Then I started slowly having body composition shift. Over the whole year, I started exercising in October of 2021, and body comp change happened all the way until August of 2022. That is when I started counting calories. So it took me about a year and a half to start counting. It's not a short process. You have to implement things as a morbidly obese person. the vast majority of the time, you have to implement things step by step and do it for a few months. You have to develop habits. It's a process. And so my whole thing is, if you are a thin person and you have somebody in your life that is morbidly obese that is trying, please be patient. It takes a long time. There are cycles of weight loss and weight gain throughout a hormone health journey. It's very, very typical. People do not understand morbid obesity, so it's really hard, and that's why I'm trying to explain it to you guys. That doesn't mean that you can't lose weight. It just means that it takes longer, and you need to make sure you're doing it healthfully so your body doesn't feel like it's starving, so you're not overly running on adrenaline, which is what she's describing here. Her body is in a massively hypothyroid state. She's running on adrenaline. If she goes without food for a little bit, she feels that she's starving. That's a huge issue. Now, I don't feel that way. If I don't eat for a while, I don't get that hungry anymore. That's why I've been able to sustain a caloric deficit and why I'm losing weight. That's why I might have to stop wearing this shirt. It's getting too big. When people eat seed oils, when they eat something like canola oil or sunflower oil, especially in a fried food, there's a lot of it in it. When that happens, our body cannot process that properly. So what tends to happen is your body eats a bag of chips. Let's say that bag of chips, I used to eat Doritos Dynamite all the time. If you don't want to be morbidly obese, don't eat chips. Don't eat conventionally made chips. Make your own with saturated fat. But anyways, I would eat that all the time. That was 800 calories. Now, your body does not register those seed oils as calories eaten. When you eat those oils, it turns it directly into fat because it sees it as a toxic substance. When it does that, the only caloric load that you got is the 200 or so calories from the actual carbs. Maybe 300, maybe 400 if we want to be up. But that means I just ate 800 calories, but my body feels like I ate 400. And this is how people systematically overeat. These oils are toxic. Hannah, lay off the oils. It's a serious issue, but it's something that most people do not understand, because I think what I hear from thin people so much is, why are you eating so much? This is why. This is the biological mechanism by which we eat so much. When I stopped eating those seed oils, after my 6 months of being ravenous, and it came down, I got full. By Christmas of 2021, I would eat fudge, I'd get full. I'd eat a bag of marshmallows even. I would get too full to finish. I'd have to stop eating it after like less than half. Which, as a fat person, if you think of getting full from a bag of candy, you're gonna think, what? But that's how thin people are, you guys. And I know because I experience it now. And that's how you can lose weight sustainably over a long period of time. It's very, very, very important. But my biggest issue with Hannah is she views this as impossible because she simply hasn't found the solution, and she gave up. And she absolutely gave up. And that's the thing that really bothers me, is when people in this movement, they act like giving up is a radical act of self-love. It's not. It's exactly that. It is giving up.
There is no way to casually pursue weight loss when you're in that state. The behaviors have to be extreme because it's an extreme situation. So when people talk about how weight loss is not an option for them or weight loss is harmful for them, just believe them. Just take them at their word.
Now, I do think that you do need to believe that people are hungry, because that is true. But that doesn't mean that there aren't things you can do to mitigate that hunger in a natural and healthy way. And that's where the conversation needs to go. Because a lot of people just say, just starve, just don't eat, just put the fork down, just don't do it. That is not sustainable unless if you are living in a concentration camp or you are locked in somebody's basement and you are not allowed to eat. That is not a sustainable strategy. because we live in a free society, as we should. But with freedom comes choices, and with choices comes, if you're starving, you're going to eat. So I do think that the conversation around these issues really needs to change, and people need to take the health effects seriously. They need to take a different approach than what is typical. And that is what I think is one of the biggest issues with both sides of this debate, although especially the fat acceptance side, because their view is to just give up and then shame people for caring, shame people for this, shame people for that, try to shut down conversation, try to encourage you and keep you going and keep you marching on down the line to your death. That is not loving, that is not compassionate, that is not caring. Trying to use disabled people as a crutch in an argument is not loving. It's not compassionate. And I am so sick of the false compassion of these people. If you guys like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Once again, I'd love to have you subscribe. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and leave your comments below, and we will keep the conversation going. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.